Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Hey.
hey, hey.
Hey, ladies. Hey, everybody out there. This is your girl Joy. This is 3BT live and direct, unfiltered, uncut. And that's three black chicks, trois meufs noires, tres chicas mujeres. I'm not trying to be bougie, but we worldwide. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to be worldwide around here. So, hey, hey,
Hey.
hey to my
Hey.
BCs, and hey to our first guest, Commissioner Tami Sawyer. I had a sound effect for y'all, actually. Can y'all hear it?
No.
No? Uh-oh. Hold on. I had a sound effect. I'm not that tech savvy.
Oh yeah. Now we hear
Woo,
it.
woo, woo. We live.
Burr,
Okay,
burr,
that
burr,
was my live.
burr.
That was my really techno-tard sound effect. So, welcome to my BCs. Ladies, Chloe the Alchemist. So Lord, what am I talking about? Chloe and Casey the Alchemist. Thank you to my BCs. Hey, y'all.
Hey,
Hey.
y'all.
Commissioner,
Hello,
thank
hello.
you. Welcome. So, what we wanted to talk about, yeah, we have a really cool show today. Like I said, we do have like the hot topics, the hot tea, the hot boys, and the hot girls. So, what we wanted to talk about first, we wanted to start by talking to Commissioner Tami Sawyer about other voices in the struggle, where they at. There's a way to participate in the struggle and not participate in erasure. Participate in the forward movement of the struggle without participating in erasure. And there's a way to check your own folks. That's a biggest role other people can do is check their own folks, but also just speak out. We want to talk about people that are speaking out and people that are conspicuously absent and their silence is notable like other communities, but yet they expect us to reciprocate. So, Commissioner Sawyer,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? You've been on the front line, so we really want you to be here. Um, because you've been on the front lines for a while, even before you were in office, which is what people should do anyway. Like if you have aspirations or not, you should be, active in the causes that matter to you. So what do you think? Has there been reciprocity in our community in particular?
Um, in Memphis, I think that we have reciprocity with the Latinx community. I think that in activism circles, I've seen it, especially like Black communities showing up for issues with ICE. There's been a lot of raids conducted in our community and close
Mhm.
in Mississippi. And I've also seen Latinx give some really great comrades, Latinx brothers and sisters who show up for us consistently. I don't think it's community wide and as intertwined because a lot of people think we have different sets of issues. But I think that, especially post Trump, the communities have gotten closer. I think that what happens too is we live in such a segregated, city. Like it's
We
Black,
do.
immigrants live in their own enclaves. African immigrants, live over off Hollywood. Latinos live over off Summer.
Yeah.
Vietnamese live, over
Off
off Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so, you've got these pockets of segregation, but I've definitely seen those who are active. Now, one thing to also consider is that one of the reasons we have such a fast growing Latinx population is because of jobs. And so there's a lot of undocumented Latinos in Memphis. And so they can't show up and be on the front lines, or they're in danger of not having work or even being in America.
That's a good point. And I think across the board, maybe that is something to consider across the board. One of the things that I think about a lot is the fact that we are, as Black folks, are pressured to dilute our causes. Like
Mhm.
The Latinx X community has the full range and power to just be like just brown people this, brown people, brown, 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 brown. We have to make it more palatable I feel like we have to say black and brown or by POC. So I feel
Yes.
like we are pushed into that corner. Would you agree with that as well?
I would agree sometimes. I mean, I definitely will say black, blackity, black, because that's usually what I'm talking about, and I think a lot of activists will as well. I will also say black and brown or BIPOC because I do see a lot of similarity in our issues. But I agree that sometimes it's just about us and we've got to make it clear when that's the case. I definitely don't tend to talk about people of color. But, I think when it comes to brown people, to black people, indigenous people, and Latinx people, but we've definitely been the most marginalized people in this country. And I think it's more of a hopeful phrase to me that we can align, because one of the things is when we're in these silos, we're fighting against each other instead of fighting against the white supremacy that's creating these structures of oppression.
Agreed. Chloe and Casey, did you have questions for Commissioner Sawyer?
I tell you, I was interested in your proposal about outlawing excessive use of chemical agents. My daughter works in a correctional facility in Oklahoma, and one of her colleagues was recently sprayed with his own gas. Right. So, since my daughter is in that situation, I'm definitely not against that at all. Just, can you tell me more about how you got there and what your proposal really is?
Well, first, let me just say, if my eyes look crazy, my contacts, it's been a long week. My eyes are like trying to make me go to sleep right there.
Same.
So I'm trying not to touch my eyes. So I realize that I probably look crazy to y'all because I'm over here like,
no.
I'm sorry.
Believe me.
But to answer your question, KC, so we just had the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor protests, Ahmaud Arbery, and during those protests, there was tear gas deployed in Memphis. Definitely not as much as we've seen in other cities, but I tend to research and follow the criminal justice platforms that I watch across the country and see how I can tailor them to Memphis. I remember I wasn't out the night that the tear gas was deployed, but I remember having friends out there and watching it live. I was actually doing real fun in the background, right? And so I know, like, needing to get milk down to, downtown to folks, being concerned that people would be arrested while, recovering from the tear gas. I actually talked to the director of our corrections department here and agreed not to have the resolution focused on inside the jail, because our guards, our deputies aren't allowed to have weapons. And so sometimes the tear gas is the only thing that can protect them if there's any type of insurgents. I struggle with that a little bit, right? Because I feel like, with all of the things that we know tear gas does and its impact on people's health, that there might need to be something differently used inside jails as well. But most importantly for me, it was, how are we allowing law enforcement to use any form of tear gas, CS gas, or anything, all of which are outlawed in warfare, can't be used by the military on people of other countries when they're at war, but we allow it in our own streets and mostly on Black and brown people. Also in COVID-19, it has been, I asked the health director, on the record, I said, what's the impact of being sprayed with tear gas in the time of COVID-19? And she said herself, it makes you more susceptible to the disease because it's a respiratory agent. And so, exactly, she said, how you recover, you feel like you recover right away. It inflames your respiratory, organs, your nose, and that makes you more susceptible for COVID-19 for a few more days. And so just knowing it's Black people in the street protesting, Black people getting sprayed with tear gas, and then it's also Black people who are right now, because of economic conditions, the most susceptible to COVID-19. Well, maybe we need to stop spraying Black people with tear gas when they protest.
Maybe, yeah.
That's really interesting because when officers work in corrections, I was once in corrections, but and with the police department, that's another story. But anyway, with that, they don't. I was tear gas once because they do it to the officers too, because you have to know how to function through tear gas. You have to know how it is to be pepper sprayed. So I was sprayed. They spray you directly in your eyes, and so you have to work through that. And part of that is they tell you so to teach you not to use it excessively. Because if you have been sprayed with it, you would know how it feels, but mainly for legal reasons. So if you ever have to go to court and testify, you can easily say, I've been sprayed with it, so why would I use it recklessly? And that's a lot of times that's how they get off with spraying people. But I find it interesting, though, I never thought about it, that they're still using tear gas, because have you found that officers still get tear gassed, or are they only getting pepper sprayed? Has it changed for the actual people who work in corrections?
I'm not sure about what they're doing in training. That seems excessive to me as well. You know, to say we're going to spray you with this chemical agents as
they do.
Yeah,
and every police department.
Yeah, no, I've heard that, but I'm saying I'm not sure what level of tear gas they use now, and it feels excessive to me that that's the way, you know, that we train our officers. And I mean, to your point that it's used as an excuse, anytime I talk about policing, there's someone who comes and says, have you ever ridden what my Republican colleagues like to do is they'll go on the ride-alongs, and, you know, they've got their share of friends, and they'll say, have you ever been on a ride-along? I've been on the ride-along. I know how hard their job is. You know, also,
you ride it.
You ride it. I've also never stood in surgery with a surgeon, you know, but guess what? I would sue the hell out of a surgeon if he fucked me up on on operating table. So I just, you know, it is insane to me that the only career field that we are afraid of putting any type of regulations on, that we're afraid of making better, that we're afraid of improving, is policing, because of this false sense of the people who should protect us. And it's like this false sense of patriotism. Like, I won't bother what policing looks like because they're good Americans. When we know that people don't necessarily just sign up to police to be good Americans. People sign up because in a lot of cities, that's the only damn job you can get.
Yeah. And some people have cowboy issues too. You know, they come in on some John Wayne as well, you know, or they come in from the military kind of shell-shocked and or with some biases and issues, let's say. So
well, then there's a culture too, because the culture is, we're not black, we're not brown, we're not white, we're blue. And everything is blue. No matter what happens, we're blue. So sometimes it's, you don't hold me accountable because we're blue, or I'm afraid I may get left out there alone because if I say something. So in fairness to them too, there are a lot of people who would like change, that work for police departments too, that are afraid to sometimes stand up themselves for their own personal safety. But that has to change too.
Right, because it's not just about making it safe for us as citizens. They have to feel safe to have some integrity and speak out and say, hey, this thing that I witnessed was wrong, you know, without being afraid of another Serpico type incident, you know.
So I want to pivot real quick and ask another question about different communities. Another community that I sometimes struggle with, and I certainly consider myself an A under the rainbow as an advocate, not asexual. Don't be, you know, I know people got jokes. So advocate, an ally, rather, or advocate, whichever one. I struggle with that because we are expected to participate on the front lines, but I feel like the LGBTQIA plus community doesn't always is still led by white men and therefore white male entitlement, and doesn't always factor in the different layers that um, the black and brown, actually black and brown LGBT community members deal with. So I often wonder where they fit in, where their voices fit in. I mean, I feel like they could use those white guys that are in leadership positions could use their voices to advocate for black and brown people, because it's not like those people don't exist and they're not active parts of their communities. I think the guy that was the head of HRC is like a Trump supporter. And I was like, how? How is that even possible? And HRC, for anybody who doesn't know, is Human Rights Campaign. So did y'all have any thoughts on that, on the LGBT community and the way in which they participate in, the struggle for Black Lives Matter or Black Lives period, for Black Lives period?
I think that we as a Black community have to make it a safe environment for them to be able to speak up and participate and be their full selves. And by that, I mean not being there presenting as this or that, but being openly gay and being a part of the movement, because the Black trans women that we see getting murdered are being murdered by cishet Black men. We see them all the time being bashed from within our own community. So then how can we then turn around and say, we want you to participate in the struggle, but then we haven't done enough to make you feel safe to be yourself and do so at the same time?
And there was a lot of pushback to DeRay McKesson. And then two of the ladies, I don't remember which two, I think they're lesbians or whatever. So there were some issues with Black Lives Matter because of them being lesbians, and also because DeRay became the face of the BLM movement and the public face on the national stage, and he's an openly gay dude. So there was some, and again, it goes back to Bayard Rustin having to tuck it in and all that kind of stuff. So I find that really interesting and undermining to the overall objective of freeing us from the weight of systematic oppression and racism.
Right. But I think we participate in some of the oppression as being people of color. We haven't been very accepting of that community. We're okay with using their gifts in churches. We're fine with you playing the organ, directing the choir. We're fine with you being with our cheerleaders, majorettes, making our dance moves great, making cheer teams and everything great. But when it comes to embracing them and allowing them to be who they are, we have a problem with it. We want to say Jesus doesn't love you, or you're wrong, or we put all of our opinions. As a community, especially church people, we have not made it a safe place for that community. So why would, whether I was white or whether I was a person of color, why would I necessarily feel safe enough to embrace the Black movement? I may embrace the Black trans movement. Now I do see more people now finally speaking out about that, but I don't know how safe people feel about embracing all of us, or coming to us and say, hey, let me fight for you, and them being okay and feeling safe in that environment, as Casey said.
Commissioner Sawyer, I want you to jump in here before we wrap up here with your thoughts on the LGBT community and how we are or should be aligned, or could be.
I mean, I'll just start with your question. I do believe that Black LGBTQ activists have stated that, white LGBTQ people don't necessarily embrace the intersectionality. They want them to fight for LGBTQ issues, but then the white people don't come over and fight for Black lives. And they feel stuck in between, and I'm not speaking for anybody, just from what I've heard, you know, is that they don't feel they have a place in the Black community, and they don't feel that they have a place in the LGBTQ community. And I've heard from Black men that they feel like they don't have a role in BLM because of people being, you know, identifying as LGBTQ. And it's like, just the same way that white people feel they don't have a role to be allies, it's like, you're a Black man, make space for someone else. You know, you've been the dominant, like, make space for someone else. We all should make space for other people. And we all have our biases to work through. I had a very public, you know, snafu last year where tweets that I sent when I was in my, you know, early mid-20s came up, you know, and I talked about, like, you know, lesbian women approaching me in the club and how that made me feel, not thinking about any lesbian woman reading that, right? Nor realizing 10 years from then I was going to be a very public figure and somebody would spend that time to go find those tweets. But what I learned was that the best
people got time.
Yeah, they got time.
They got time.
They have all the time to find everything you're not doing right and you're trying to do right. But no, I think that the most important thing that we can do, you know, to close point, all of that bias that we learned growing up, all that stuff we heard in church, all of the things that we've just heard in our community, it's up to us. We're adults. It's up to us to reject that and embrace the LGBTQ community under the umbrella of Blackness, because they need us and we need them.
Right.
Agreed. And so before we wrap up, one thing that actually Chloe found today is the documentary that is premiering in Indy, Memphis, first woman mayor of Memphis. So we definitely want to shout that out. Only I don't have the air horn ready. We definitely want we definitely want let me get it ready. Let me get it.
There you go.
We definitely want to shout that out. I got my own sound effect.
It's premiering. It's an Indy Memphis official selection. It will be played opening night of the Indy Memphis Festival, October 22nd, 6:30 p.m. You can stream it online, or you can join us at Malco Summer Drive-In. I'm really excited. They had told us it was getting picked. I didn't know it was going to be an opening night film. It's pretty big. Really excited. I'll let y'all in on a secret. I have not seen the entire thing. It's going to be really hard to relive. It was a really hard time. It was a really tough time. And you know, Barack Obama has a book, The Audacity of Hope, and that's what I feel, the audacity that I had to run as hard as we ran.
You did.
A lot of people off.
You did.
And so I just think that I'm glad that I was convinced by Lauren Reddy of Forever Ready Productions to let her tell part of my story, because hopefully the next time a Black woman runs and you know is considered a real contender, they'll get treated better than I was.
I don't have the audacity of hope for that part, because you know. So that quote, the quote from the minister has been circulating, or Malcolm X has been circulating here lately. You know, the most unprotected and disrespected woman is a black woman. I'm paraphrasing. So I don't have that hope, but I do have the hope that other Black women can close ranks around Black women. And this doesn't mean we're not going to question. That's not going to mean we're going to be, you know, because we got questions. We Black women, we got questions. It doesn't mean that.
I mean, but I know we're out of time, but just, you know, really quickly, the last time I came in and then I had to go, y'all were talking about like hysterectomies and fibroids and things like that. And I remember that conversation because I've been through all that myself. And so I was like listening, but the thing about it was like such a beautiful Black sisterhood conversation, right? And you know, so you're asking about LGBTQ, and I remember I've very publicly talked about having a hysterectomy due to fibroids. My entire campaign, whenever I would meet with a Black pastor, their first question would be, "Why aren't you married? Where are your children?" Right? And I was very like actually going through the loss of my fertility that year at the same time.
No, that's terrible.
Public race. And nobody knew that, and so when I finally like shared it, it was after the campaign, but like I answered like at least weekly, why don't you have children? Who are you dating? And then on the radio every week, there was a man calling me a lesbian. And and I didn't defend it because why would I defend it, right? There's nothing wrong with being a lesbian. But on the same side, he was trying to say it in a disparaging way. Well, she's gay because we don't know who she dates. And I was ready to be private about.
It's none of your damn business.
Yeah. And so
it's none of your business.
I was running against a man who has how many children out of wedlock. No one knows who he sleeps with on a daily basis, nor cares, and no one questioned, no one said, Jim Strickland, why do you have an adopted child? No one said, Mayor Harrington, how many out of wedlock kids do you have? And so those are the things that women in Memphis and probably across the country, when you challenge the status quo, you need to be ready to go through.
You do.
It's never going to be just about your policy or the facts or whether you're really ready. It's going to be about silly shit.
Well, tell them to call Chloe if they want to know why you aren't married. Ladies, you can ask me. I have plenty of responses that should be
and maybe we'll have some merch. None of your motherfucking business. Maybe that's the merch you need. That part. So, how's that? Yeah, ask your mama. So, thank you to Commissioner Tami, Commissioner Tami Sawyer for joining us tonight. And we appreciate this conversation, though. We'll definitely have you back on the show. There's so much more to talk about. But we'll definitely have you back on the show. And thank you again. Good and take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Have fun with the rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, one and all, to the little show that we like to call Black Nerd Power, BNP if you're nasty. I'm your host, Mr. Richard Douglas Jones, and with me, the co-hosts of Black Nerd Power, Mr. Marcus Seabury.
What's up, my nerd?
All nerd, please. And Ms. Kimber, what's happening, man?
Hi.
All right, first, here is the rage figure.
I love his helmet.
Talking about escapism and like, yo, I'm mad, but I'm tired. Like, is it okay that, like, if instead of going out to protest tonight, I want to sit and watch a movie? And I'm just like, hell yeah, it's fine.
A quote unquote woke romance that features a character that's not being like objectified for her body, that does not necessarily mean that book will not have sex in it.
And I think on that note, we're going to end the show.
Kudzukian. Download the Kudzukian app, available on Android and iOS.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 3BC, and it's Bertram.
Hey, Bertram. Hey. What's up, where the girls get naked?
Yes.
Right away, I see you are surrounded by your plants.
Yes. My plant babies are with me. They keep me sane.
So your oxygen levels are great. I'm lean up in there.
Yeah, we breathing. Well, you know what? We need them to balance out some of the other stuff that's going on over here.
Right. Is it also green up in there?
That is safe to assume. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm just on the other side of the major thoroughfare there. So we ain't got to call out everybody's, domicile, but I'm just on the other side of said major thoroughfare.
Yeah.
Y'all ever feel in a sharing mood?
That's right.
I'll let you go.
Okay. We can have what they call a pot look. Y'all see what I did right there?
Yeah. Yeah.
All legal, because we promote legalities.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, all legal. Also, we have a chef that could help us out with that as well.
Oh, I think that was the plant talking. That wasn't Bertram. That was
Feed me, Simon.
So how y'all doing tonight? I really appreciate y'all having me on.
Good. How are you doing?
We're excited to see you.
Well, I'm excited to be seen. I got a chance to hear a bit of y'all's and Tami's combo, and it got me a little bit more excited to be on here with three beautiful chicks. I ain't gonna say three black, we three beautiful chicks.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Bertram.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah.
Well, Bertram, I want to thank you for coming on here. Everybody had such the best reaction. I was like, let's ask Bertram to come on. And Larry, and for anybody that doesn't know, he's the CEO of the network Kudzukian. Larry's like, Bertram's my guy. I like him. I was like, yeah, Bertram was really nice. I met you, at Hattie Lou back in the day. And I was like, he's a really nice guy. So I'm really happy to see your glow up personally and professionally. Y'all be so cute. I'm like, it kind of make me sick a little bit. They cute as hell.
Well, I appreciate that, and we got some time to enjoy, and it has meant the world to me to be able to kind of walk into this new space and to do it with people that I got a whole lot of love for, and I know the love and the congrats are all like super genuine, super real, and so it's made all of this worth it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right. And we never did say what show you are actually on.
Oh, there you go.
Talking.
Yeah.
We got caught up in the potluck.
So for those who don't know, this is Bertram Williams. You can follow him on Instagram at Bertram Builds. He has all these he's a grower and gardener, like all these plants and stuff. I look at my little sad little jalapeno plant. I'm like, dude, all right, it's fine. Everybody can't do everything. It's fine. But he's also an actor. He's been with Hattie Lou for a while, and P Valley now as Wody. Wody is Lil Murder's manager. Wody, Lil Murder's manager. So how has that process been? What has that been like for you, Bertram? I know it's exciting. I know there's a lot of love and support, but what has that process been like to look at yourself on TV once a week?
Yeah, it's been surreal. For example, I got to watch the finale episode sitting around with my parents and a few other friends, and for the folks who drove me around to arts camp and my different plays, to be able to see me in that light. Like I said before, it's meant the world to me. But also, I got to be honest, as a creative, you know how we can be hard on ourselves. And so I'm watching the joint like, I should have done this. I could have done that. Because this, like y'all may know, was my foray into television. I had done theater for about 10 years. And so I was on the job learning. I was learning what the different terms meant. I was trying to manage my personal and professional shit while shooting the show. And so I'm seeing myself processing a lot of that while I'm, watching the show. But all in all, like, I'm super thankful for the opportunity and excited for season 2.
Well, if it helps, we didn't notice.
Okay.
No. We thought you were good. We didn't notice that you were part of that scene.
I'll take that.
In that vein, I have a 2-part question for you, Bertram. So do you find it more effective for you as an actor to stay present in your body as who you are, or do you find it better to distance yourself a little bit to embrace your character?
It's interesting. That's a great question. So in my approach to Wody, because like we shared a lot in common, working in the arts, entertainment space, being from the South, being with the shit. Can we cuss on here?
Yeah, honey.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Or we would be on here.
All right.
We'd be in trouble.
And so a lot of that is in me. Like, Bertram is a lot of those things. And so I was able to take the first approach with Wody. Like, I was just kind of in my body and trying to live as Wody through Bertram. But also there have been many instances where the character or role requires that you, like you said, detach. And so for me, if I had the preference or if I had the option, I would pursue more roles like that, more roles that allow me to escape, so to speak, and really explore just different ways of being. But for Wody, I was trying to bring a little Bertram in that thing.
He was spot on.
He definitely was. And one thing I'm sorry, girl. I forgot you said two.
It was a two-part.
My bad.
Go
My
ahead,
bad.
And so I know in a recent interview you said that your favorite person that you played was your character from Ruin because it set you on the trajectory to do in P-Valley. Katoria came to see you and talk to you. But I want to ask, aside from that character and that specific situation, was there another character during your time at Hattie Lou that was your favorite to play?
Yeah, one that still sticks out to this day is the character Youngblood, who was in August Wilson's Jitney. It went up at Hattie Lou, I think, in 17. And that play, again, kind of like Wody, I was able to see so much of myself in Youngblood, an aspiring entrepreneur, so to speak, who was dealing with relationship shit and who was trying to maintain right relationship with the elders that he worked with. And so that one, in addition to that cast and that whole experience being something like a theater experience like no other, we really went through some things. And so I would have to lift that one up too.
Okay.
Jitney's a dope play too.
It's such a good show.
It's dope.
Great story. Yeah.
Chloe, you had a question?
I did. Well, I read that you were instrumental in helping some of the cast learn some Southern vernacular. I would like to know what are some of the things you taught the cast.
Well, Chloe, I'm not 100% comfortable saying that I was instrumental, right? Because on set they brought in folks who were serving as like dialect coaches, because the majority of the cast, as y'all know, were coming from all over the place,
all over the world, really,
all over the world.
But they gotta hit that Maine just right.
Just right, because we've seen movies where people messed up Maine and called it Maine. You know, they had the East Tennessee twang, and they don't realize there is a West Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, and East Tennessee dialect. All three are totally different.
Yes.
That's right.
I tried to coach little dude on the spot from Bluff City Law. I cornered him on the carpet, and I tried to coach him on the spot. I was like, "Let me hear you say it." I gotta get it. You gotta get it right.
We gotta get it together.
What was his name? The young dude, the law clerk that was Jimmy Smith's secret son. That guy. I was like, you gotta hit it. But go ahead. I was like, it's very important. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I can't really speak to any like specific techniques I was able to share, other than just being in the place and trying my best not to hide the way I speak, because I feel like it kind of lended itself to, well, it's close. It's close. It's very close. I was going for it. So I just tried to be honest and stand up in that, but I didn't sit anybody down. I ain't doing like Joy and pulling to the corner. Say, look, man. Look, man.
But if you say something, man, Memphis folks will probably get mad at you, like, man.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm a nervy chick. Right. I made notes on a sticky note and gave it to David Janelleri too. I'm a nervy, ballsy chick. I don't care. I was like, here's what you need to know. I need to give you these notes now because I get tired of wrong Memphis stuff.
Yes.
This is wrong. Yeah. But what I appreciate, I want to talk about your character and the relationship to Lil Murder, and then the tricky part of the music business, considering, in terms of presentation and having to still in 2020 have a certain representation of masculinity, so to speak, or hypermasculinity. But let me say, I appreciate the low and slow delivery that you always have. It's always on the show, and it's always, well, in life, you got the low and slow delivery in life too. But also, Walter is always observant, and that's one thing that you notice about the character. That character's always, he be seeing stuff. He be knowing, and it's obvious. It's obvious, and that is a skill to actually be able to translate that across your face or in your body language,
right?
And make it translate on screen. So I can appreciate that in your character and in your delivery. because I remember sitting there thinking when he was all tonguing down Miss Mississippi, who's beautiful, by the way, side note, she's like Black Barbie. She's just a beautiful
And I used to
woman.
have a doll for real that looked
Gorgeous.
just like her when I
Me
was little,
too.
that I
She
got
was
from
gorgeous.
Fred's Dollar
She's
Store. Her
brand
name
Me
was
too.
Kim. And every time I see Miss, I'm like, man, that looks
I
just like
had a
my
Black
doll
Barbie just
I
like
used
her.
to have. And I used
Yeah.
to have, and it wasn't a Barbie because it was from Fred's, but it looks just like her. Did Fred sell Barbie? I don't know if Fred sold Barbie.
Maybe, I don't know.
Fred's in Orange Mound representing. Yeah, it was the Fred's in Orange Mound. My mama got that right off of Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But I remember Wardy sitting there looking at it like he looking like this nigga flogging like a motherfucker over here.
Just
you know,
lying.
good
He
damn
looking like this
well
nigga flogging
that
like
ain't
a
who he
motherfucker.
was. Falling. I
Like,
I
okay,
had to say falling one time tonight.
okay. But it's interesting. How does that play out for you in dealing with the music industry? Like some areas of arts is fine. Like you could be like Miko and I come from stage, so it was kind of okay. Even though I read that they tried to discourage him from being so gay or whatever.
Mhm.
But stage is a little bit more accepted. But music, especially hip hop, it's really about presentations of masculinity and then masculinity has to be in a box.
Right. Well, yeah. First, I want to say thank you for your kudos. It's funny you mentioned like my looks because I didn't have a whole lot of lines in this thing, and one of my partners, he would mess with me every now and then. He would say, "Man, you really a looking ass nigga." And
Because
so,
you do look a whole lot.
yeah, I got a
Just
couple
be
Right.
looks, man.
Man.
I got a couple looks out, and so yeah, I just appreciate you acknowledging that. But as it relates to what is essentially like hyper masculinity that is like rife throughout, especially like the hip hop world, it was really refreshing to play a character that was able to show, at least in this phase, some semblance of like understanding and support for our brother Lil Murder, who is gay, right, or bisexual. And I
He's
think
not bisexual, bruh.
you think it is what it is.
I
No.
think he's
I think he
whatever.
might want to be bisexual, but I don't know. He doesn't give me that. But you know
Yeah.
what? I can't say what he is. He is what he says he is.
Right, and he
Well,
has
we
the
don't
right to do
really
so.
know yet, do we?
We don't know yet.
That's
Mhm.
right. But whoever really does, right? And I think that's the
the
real
key.
trick. I think what the show does and this role, especially like Murder and I navigating this thing, it teaches us that we really have to love on our people. Period. Point blank. Period. And just as quick as you would be, and I really appreciated hearing y'all talk through some of this with Tami, Commissioner Sawyer, around how we can really show up for our folks in the LGBTQ plus community, because they are us. Ain't nobody no different, you know.
Yes.
And so I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, yeah, I just wanted to really point out how it was important that they rolled that theme into the story because there are a lot of dudes on the under in the music industry and R&B and hip hop. I remember back in the day in the 90s, a kid, Kenny from Intro, he died from AIDS. Everybody ostracized him and alienated him except a couple people. You know, he pretty much died alone almost. And because he had AIDS in the 90s and nobody was trying to fool with him, you know, so it's really
30 years later.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. So it's really a tricky tightrope walk even now.
And I think we have to, like, a part of the work is finding out how to destigmatize this idea or these identities. And I believe that shows like this help, having conversations like this help in public forum. But we got to continue to do it. We got to continue, as y'all said again before, is to we got to create space. And I consider it an honor to, as a Black man who identifies as straight, to be able to really not only speak on behalf, but in an active and visible sense, show support for folks in the queer community.
Let me ask you this, actually. I have gotten in a little, little, slap fights with male friends, because some of my male friends have big issues with Uncle Clifford. My friends like, this big ass nigga up here, and I was like, first of all, nigga, you live in Atlanta.
Exactly. Hello.
Stop talking. One, that if you didn't live in Atlanta, I might give you a pass, but shut up. But I feel like the Uncle Clifford character is a perfect character to run the strip club, because I feel like a straight man, for the most part, would not run a strip club with the way he does, and with the kind of compassion he does and care for the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, with all due respect to your partners, tell them shut up, because
I did.
Because somebody like Uncle Clifford, to me, like in the larger sense, represents. Y'all ever heard of like Native people talking about, or their reverence for two-spirited people?
Yeah.
Both masculine
and
feminine.
Right.
And I feel like that is what he represents, like in a kind of general or symbolic sense.
Yeah.
But when you drill down to the club, I believe that, like you said, ain't nobody capable of like really being able to kind of hold things together and kind of show up in a masculine way, keep things in order, so to speak, but also be able to empathize with the sisters and be able to really show up in a way that, I don't care how player you think you are, you ain't more player than Uncle Clifford. You know what I mean?
And you ain't finna whip his ass neither.
Right, you
No,
You ain't finna whip his ass at all.
And we're getting close to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They had a two-spirited character on Lovecraft Country. I don't know if you guys are watching that, and that was kind of a beautiful representation there.
It was
absolutely.
And the East Indians have the Hydra, who are two-spirited. They have masculine and feminine energy. They in their history. So, but it's we love P-Valley. We can't wait to get more of P-Valley. We can't wait for when is season 2 coming?
So we, according to Katori and crew, are technically on hiatus. And as soon as we figure something out, you best believe we'll be letting the world know that y'all can look out for season 2.
And can I tell you my favorite scene real quick?
Yeah, please.
I love it when you and Little Murder trying to get into the club. And he doesn't have enough money in his bag, and you get some stuff to make his bag heavier, to make it seem like he had more stacks in there. I said, see, that's a real friend for you.
That's a
to make you look good. I said, see, that's the kind of friend you need.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you how to flodge the right way.
Exactly. And that's when I saw that. I said, see, I like them already. That was my first. I love that scene.
Yeah.
Well, Bertram, thank you for joining us today. We were really excited about having you on. Hopefully we'll get to have you on the show again.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much. And I hope you have a great rest of the show.
Thank you. And we'll hit you up about the potluck. We'll talk offline.
Okay, say no more.
All right. Bye, Bertram. Thank you. Down in the valley, P-Valley, it's Bertram Williams, and that's Woden. We'll be back.
Kudzukian.
So we're talking about actual harm against actual people.
Different episodes, you come up with a more surprising thing.
You just taking baby steps, talking about escapism and like, yo, I'm mad, but I'm tired.
Hello. It is a privilege and an honor to join you for this special ceremony.
I can't tell you how privileged and pleased I am to be a part of the most critical conversation of 2020.
Sickle cell disease from birth to childhood up. So thank you for joining us.
Kudzukian. Check out all your Kudzukian favorites now. Download the Kudzukian app, available on Android and iOS.
And we're back. BBC is back, still live and direct and in your face, uncut, unfiltered. And my BCs are back, Chloe and Casey, the Alchemist. And this time we got another hot boy, Lodric Collins. Hey, Lodric.
Hello.
Lodric.
Hey, Lodric.
How are you? I feel like it's Mardi Gras again, man.
Yeah, we're just a little incognito tonight.
Yes. Uh-oh. I think we lost some sound. We lost your sound.
Are we good?
It's a little crackly.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Hang on, y'all. 1 second. Let us sort out the technical difficulties. We'll hold. Just so while he's sorting it out.
For real.
Right.
The lights are hot. Yeah.
Are you back, Joy? I like your t-shirt. Is he back?
Oh, thank you. No, it's still crackling. Unplug it and replug it and see what happens.
Unplug my mic?
Uh-huh. And then plug it back.
Okay.
Your earbuds, yeah.
I'll turn it off and just look at the computer.
So while he's fixing that, let me give you a little background. Lodric is a Louisiana boy. If it's all over his face, I mean, that's probably obvious. He's a Louisiana boy. But I met him in Brooklyn.
Wow.
And yeah, I did years and years ago. At Natu's house? Natu's house, maybe? Natu's house, maybe?
I don't know. I think we just passed each other. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just passed each other. We would pass each other in the hood, and we were like around the corner, and we just got tight. You know?
Everybody's like, that's a true story, because everybody's like, you always chit-chatting with folks. I was like, shut up. I am, so what?
Because the Southern people.
We be chit-chatting.
I feel like I'm in Mardi Gras right now, and y'all got these masks on. I'm a little scared what we about to talk about.
We're gonna talk about everything.
Don't be
good. All up.
She did tell you it's uncut and unfiltered, right?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I heard there was a potluck, so you know.
You got to come down to Memphis, baby. You got to come to Memphis, boo. You invited, honey. You already invited.
All right.
And Lodric can currently be seen on the Oval as Donald Winthrop, and his character is quite interesting on that show. To be honest, I stopped and watched it because I saw him. We lost touch. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I said, this guy looks like Lodric. And I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for that. I mean, that come up, because Tyler Perry's a big deal. You know, love him or hate him, he's a big deal.
Yeah. No, he's the hardest working man in show business, man.
He really is.
And providing a ton of community a ton of opportunity for our people. I mean, just like the person we had earlier is doing P-Valley, he records at Tyler Perry Studios. So I mean, he's opening doors and making his own opportunity. So,
you know, honestly, it's a blessing to work. And I'm not brown nosing. Like, if I didn't, I'm not brown nosing at all. This is like sincere. It's a blessing to work with somebody like that, because you know, you go to work for these major networks, and it's about the overhead. You know, it's about the overhead. And not saying that it's not, you know, it's Tyler Perry Studios, but it's also about people with him. And you see it in the articles, and you see it when he opens his mouth and speaks. It's like the real deal, you know. He's about people, you know. We just finished shooting this season. We're the first crew to come back in the middle of a pandemic while all these other studios are still trying to figure it out, you know. Yeah. We know about this man's billionaire status. He could have easily been sitting on an island somewhere chilling, but I think, and he's spoken about it before, you know, he's seen there's people that work for him that, you know, needed to pay their mortgage, they need to pay their rent, they need to feed their kids. And he decided, you know what, let's find a way to shoot this season so that they can do these things, you know. Yeah. And I'm grateful to be working with somebody like that, you know.
And you guys just finished wrapping up the next season?
Yeah, we did. We wrapped it up like a month ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I was wondering, you know, being around him, is there something that you've picked up, some wisdom or, you know, some good advice that you've picked up from being around him?
Yeah. There's a wealth of it. I'm telling you, like for season 1, I didn't know him that well, but I knew I knew his worth and I knew his knowledge, because I heard about the books and I heard him speak and I knew like his story. So, you know, you see somebody like that who's very relatable, who's easy to talk to, and you wonder like how they fit in a world that they've created that's Tyler Perry Studios. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like a fly on the wall everywhere we went. I just listened, you know. And I remember one of my favorite moments is he built this White House for us. He built a replica of the freaking White House.
Yeah.
And we're rehearsing on a Sunday, and he comes over, and it's myself, the gentleman that plays the president and the first lady, and he says, "Hey, we're waiting for the White House to be built so we can start shooting our scenes in the White House." And he's like, "Hey, the White House is almost done. Y'all want to have a sneak peek? Y'all will be the first." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool, you know." So we walk into, and he's like, "That's the Oval Office down there." And he's like, "Lodric, if you go 2 doors down and make a right, that door, that's your office, you know." And I open the door, and I just stare, and I'm like, "Oh snap! Like this is some plush. Like damn, this is
Wow.
you know." And I was like, "This is my office." And he was like, "Yeah. Go sit down in the chair, spin around in the chair. You like the paintings? You like this? You want us to change anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got that option. Like, no, I'm good." You know. And I'm staring at it, and he says, "You know, I didn't get any of this stuff until I knew I deserved it." And I was like, "Huh?" And he's like, "I didn't get any of this stuff until I knew I deserved it." And I was like, "Oh, this Negro pulling some Jedi mind tricks on me right now, because you can tell what I'm thinking right now, you know?" So he says, "You feel like you deserve this?" And I was like, "Okay, Lod, pull this stuff together right now. Because this dude that already read what you're thinking right now. So like, pull it in." And I thought for a minute, and I was like, "You know what? Yeah, I deserve it." And he was like, "What took you so long to answer?" And I was like, "Well, you knew what I was thinking the first time. So if I lied to you, you probably know that too. So let me just be real and muster it up and rationalize what's happening. And yeah, I deserve it, you know." But it was just one of those things that taught me, you know, like if especially as minorities, you know, it's 4 of us, you know. I think in life, you know what I mean? There's this voyage of us, of acceptance, of ownership, of saying I belong in this place, in this time, you know. So it just taught me about that, about myself, just about this voyage of us as people, and knowing that we deserve the things that are in front of us, you know, and even more, you know.
Yeah.
It leads me to another question. I saw something on the Black Actor Studio, and it's in line with what you're saying. And you were talking about how you reacted to the news that you got the role on the Oval, or when you got the role for Smokey Robinson, and they were like, "You got the role," and you were like, "Okay," and they were like, "Well, did you hear me?" And you were like, "Yeah." But you were saying that you live in the spirit of receiving. And when you live in the spirit of receiving, things happen. What other opportunities in acting, by living by that mantra, how have you been helped with acting opportunities?
Every single opportunity that I've had, every that I can remember here in Los Angeles, every single opportunity that I've had here in Los Angeles, I got knowing that I got it when I left the room. You know what I mean? Or knowing that I got it before I went to the audition. You know, and I said to myself, "This is yours. This is yours to lose. This is yours. This is your role. This is yours. Just go get it." You know what I mean? And it's important because I'm about to get a little biblical, and I don't want to do that too much. But the Bible says life and death is all in the power of the tongue, right?
Yes.
This is what it is. If life and death is in the power of the tongue, why can't like the things that I want in the universe be in the power of it? You know?
Yes.
So I believe that. I follow the secret, and I believe in speaking the things that I want manifested. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this for the pick 3 or the Powerball, you know, but
you sound like my mother. She used to always say, "You have not because you ask not." Or you have not because you don't speak or say anything. But that is so relatable in so many areas of our life, that you're in the spirit of receiving. I also saw how a community theater is what prompted you to act. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, research. Yeah, no. I grew up in Lake Forest, Louisiana, and first of all, I'm a middle child. I got 4 brothers, 2 older, 2 younger, and my dad's goal was to make us. His level of success and achievement was based on how much money you made. As I'm sure all of our parents, we're a different generation.
Yeah.
Right. We are different.
You learning the trade and how much money you made. So I think from like 6th grade, I was pouring concrete with my dad and helping him build houses and all this other stuff, So he groomed us to, to have a trade, to go out and be something that can be successful in his term, And I remember my grandmother took me to like this theater in the hood. It was on the railroad track, so it's the hood. It's called
Right.
Axe Theater, ACTS, Axe Theater. And I remember we went to this place, and I think the show was like Oliver Twist or The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn or something. And she just took me. And I remember she describes it as like the one moment where I sat still and didn't say jack,
Mm-hmm.
Like he sat still, he didn't say a word, and like he was mesmerized. And I felt that way because there was so much imagination going on in this place, And I'm taking it all, and I'm taking it. How is this light coming down on the stage? How are these people being hoisted up? Like, where's this sound coming from? And I just remember it being like this magical escape. And I walked out into the lobby, and I told my grandmom, I was like, hey, I want to do that. She was like, you do? Okay. And I remember she had this big purse, and she was pulling all kind of pamphlets and putting it in her purse. Yeah.
That's a grandma purse.
It is a
Grandma
purse.
always have a big purse for everything.
That is, but I go back to my dad and like, just building us up to be, it wasn't, even though I did it, it wasn't a thing that people understood. So I kind of kept it to myself for a long time. I would do shows, people be like, why didn't you invite me? Because and I never really talk about it, but like I never wanted anybody to rain on this enjoyment that I had, So I kind of kept it to myself a lot, I realized that it was hard to get people to support. Sometimes to get family, my family, people who love me, to support those things, because they didn't fully understand the enjoyment that I individually felt from it, Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Dreams can't be shared with everybody. You have
Yeah.
to protect your dreams and
Yeah,
share
yeah,
them
yeah,
with
yeah.
the people who support them, and then other people can see what happened later.
Yeah. My dad, God bless him, he never saw anybody making money off of acting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That didn't happen in Louisiana. Now there's a production company and everything, but he didn't see anything tangible that he could touch, talk to, or whatever that was successful in the route that I was taking. So yeah.
As a fellow veteran, I want to pivot to your time as a Marine.
Okay.
I'm retired Air Force. I was a Marine. Let me just clear that up right there. But the skills that you got at weapons handling, explosives handling, have you brought that to any of the roles that you've been in?
Yeah, I bring that to everything. I think now I accept it. You know what I mean? I accept this authoritative place, and I think about the methodicalness. I don't want to get too deep. The methodicalness of like drill instructors. You know what I mean? There's a very methodical way in which they command things, and I always think about that in terms of like how I bring it into like how I bring that commanding presence, how I bring that posture, those different things into like characters. Yeah. Fortunately, I don't bring the demolition and C4 explosive.
I want to see you rappelling out of the White House, though. One of these things.
I want to do it. Tell that to Tyler. I'm doing it. That was fun. That was like my first role.
But didn't you have a role? I was going to say you had a role where you did that, right?
Yeah, I started working on All My Children in New York. This is when I knew you, when we were hanging out, Joy, back on the block. This casting director called. He was like, I got this role that is. He was a white guy. He didn't talk like that. He was kind of, Lodric. I got this role. This guy, he's taking wives. He's gonna rappel down a mountain, and I'm like, but it's the studio. Y'all don't. There's no mountains in California. He's like, in LA. Yeah, and I'm sorry, in New York. There's no mountains in New York. He was like, oh, we got it figured out. Just come ready, and you're gonna probably be coming off of a mountain. So I get there, and they built a mountain inside. I don't know if it was NBC or CBS. I forget which one. CBS. They built a mountain inside the studio, and yeah, they had me rappelling off of it. Yeah.
You know,
So
you could have used that skill in Forgiving Chris Brown. I was actually rooting for you to get rescued.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
That was the most fun film I would never take back because I got a chance to get dragged out into the desert and beat by 3 hostages.
What were they giving you to drink? I was like, is this poison? Is it a laxative? What is the purpose of this thing other than it's just nasty?
It was nasty. That's what happens when you don't have a budget for a film. Nasty, man. I remember it was just as nasty as it looked. It was nasty. It was nasty. We shot it in Joshua Tree. It was fun though. Yeah.
Well, tell us about your role as Smokey Robinson.
When I saw that, I was like, of course. Like,
Yeah.
how could you not be Smokey Robinson?
No,
Are you gonna sing?
Fortunately not. I mean, Jennifer Hudson, Forrest Whitaker, those Titus Burgess, those voices. No, yeah. That was my word. I was like,
Because if you messed it up, it'd be a lot of mad people at you.
He can't mess up Smokey.
Yeah. No, when I lived in New York, I never compared myself to this guy ever. I never saw anything of myself in him. I idolized him as a kid, but I never saw the comparison. But when I lived in New York, there were some musician buddies that were like, one specifically was like, dude, he would always call me Smokey. He'd be like, Smokey, what are we doing? Where are we going? One day, we gonna play Smokey Robinson in the movie, bro. And I was like, dude, get out of here, man. Whatever, and I mean, talking about speaking things into existence.
He spoke that into your life.
I'm still waiting to play Wanda Sykes, but keep going. I am. I'm gonna play Wanda Sykes one day. Y'all heard it from me. I'm playing Wanda Sykes one day. But go ahead. We want to hear about Smokey.
No, after I came off of the Oval, I got a call. I didn't get a call. I saw a posting for an audition for Respect. And I called my agent and I said, listen, they're doing this thing about Motown. I had just seen a documentary on, I think it was Showtime, with Barry Gordy and Smokey Robinson telling the story of Motown. I said, listen, they're doing this thing of Respect, and I think Motown is incorporated in it. There's no way you can incorporate Motown and Aretha Franklin without bringing in Smokey Robinson. At some point, if you see a breakdown for Smokey Robinson, you submit me. Don't just submit me, you call them and tell them that I want to do it. Like, even if it's one line, I don't care. Like, I want to do it. So just be on the lookout, And I said it. 3 days later, she sent me the audition. She was like, how did you know that was coming out? I was like, I didn't know, but I had an assumption that this may be coming out, that this role may be coming out. I did it, sent it in, they liked it. We went through a couple of rounds, and they were like, we want you. But the trick is you start in 3 days. I'm like, wait, you do a full character like the in 3 days? Okay, cool. And the voice, So yeah, and that's how it happened, And push come to shove, a few days later, I'm on a set with Jennifer and Forrest Whitaker and Marlon Wayans and all these great people working, Yeah.
Wow,
Let me give you a fun fact. Actually, my daughter, she has an agent actually now in Louisiana. Yeah, but this agent is in New York, and she sends her the audition for Respect for young Aretha. I was like, are you looking at my child? How is she younger? Is she supposed to sing? We had to figure out singing. It was atrocious because Addison is a dancer. She's not a singer. And I was like, so this lady think all Southern Black girls sing, I guess. Because I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah, it could have been a developing voice,
I was like, maybe they just want her look. You know what I'm saying? So what they gave us was the funeral dirge version of Precious Lord. And it was just the piano. I had to call the choir director, as we talked about earlier, to figure out, and my other friend, figure out where to even come in. So theoretically, you and Addison were almost gonna cross paths. Just a funny. But not really, because that was just atrocious. Like that whole situation was a mess. I was like, what is this?
But that's good
But
though.
we gave it a shot.
That's good practice.
That's those
We gave it a
voyages.
shot.
That's those that's those voyages that she has to take. You know what I mean? You have to have like crazy auditions to have like great ones. You know what I mean? Yeah.
We gave it a shot. So
And the fact that
before
they
we
called
go,
her,
Lodric,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I said the fact that they called her in says something about her.
Yeah. I mean, so I look at that as a positive. So
Well, we already said she's gonna be big. We all believe it. So
we're gonna work on her. We're gonna work on her. We speak it into her life.
we spoke it.
Speaking it. So Lodric, before we go, I want to make sure that we talk about Lake Charles and Hurricane Laura and your efforts in your hometown to bring awareness and raise money to rebuild and restore the homes and help the families, donate to families in Lake Charles. So I want to kick it to you to talk about that before we go.
Yeah, no, you know, Hurricane Laura hit like a month ago, and it left my town in rubble. You know, I returned back. I'd never seen anything like it. You know, I returned back driving down the streets that I grew up in and didn't even recognize it. Like you can literally see the living rooms and homes because there's no walls. You know, there's no roof. I've been going back and forth, but this last time that I went, it broke my heart. You know, because there was a lady. I was like, I want to go because I want to be there when people are returning. You know. And I volunteer with SWLA, and they have this round robin that circles the place and you get all your supplies. And this lady rolls her window down, and I can see she has luggage in the back seat, and she has two babies. And she says, and we're ready to give supplies. And like when she rolls her window down, there's a smell that comes out of the car. And she says, look, like I just need help right now. She's like, I just came back. I'm on E. I don't know how I'm gonna get from here to my house. Only God, like, helped me get to this place. She was like, but the first thing that I need are Pampers. I drove 2 hours with the baby. Like I don't have anything to put on them, and like, yeah, I feel bad, you know. So we made the showers and all this stuff. We got her cleaned up. They got the babies cleaned up, and she said, I have no money, you know. And I realized like it's real severe because you think about like COVID. You think about what COVID's done to people. What COVID's done to middle class working families.
Yeah.
That's like hard working lower class families, you know. And you think about families, you think about children, and they are suffering, you know. The funds are depleted because COVID depleted the funds a long time ago. And then you have to evacuate with the family, and you're gone for like a month with little income that you have. And people are struggling. And on top of struggling, they're coming home to find that they can't live in their homes, you know? That they probably had the roof blown out, the home's probably in rubble, or they might have had one leak in the home. And now since they've been gone for like a month, the whole home is full of mold and mildew.
Mildew.
Yeah. They have no clothes. The clothes are destroyed. I can't tell you, like, at least every other home has everything that they own out on the road because it was just destroyed and they came back after a month, you know? It was like a war-torn country. And what I've been doing is I'm just trying to use my voice. Because before I was putting in sweat labor, literally going home, repairing roofs, repairing windows, doing what I can to help. But then I realized, you know, there's this platform that I have now that I could probably use and that might be better. So I did a video just asking for help, you know, help for these people. And I found an organization which is SWLA Center for Health and Health Services. And they're doing amazing things, you know. They're giving the people what they need. They're feeding the people hot meals all day. They're giving them supplies. They're giving them cleaning supplies. They're giving them showers. They have medical trucks there to help them because a lot of them are going to be going through respiratory problems from the mold and mildew.
Yeah.
They're doing so much more. And they're doing it for people that look like us that have been overlooked. Since you know what I mean? So like I tell people just to go to, if you want to find a place to donate to, go to SWLA, swlahealth.org, click the donate button, and whatever you give is like, it's going to make a difference in somebody's life right now, you know, because they need it. Like they need it severely. Yeah.
And you can also follow Lodric at Lodric D. Collins on Lodric D. Collins on Instagram, and keep up with his work, both in the community. And
in my bio, I have the link. You can click on the link and it will straight to NWLA donations.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see that in the bio. Yes, bio in the link. Yeah. And we are wrapping up, but I do want to say this to anybody out there in Hollywood, New York, and anywhere in between. Lodric is a class act. I'm going to tell you why real quick. One, because what you said, but two, because you've always just been a really nice person. When I said I was happy to be back in touch with you, I really meant that. But one, I remember small kindnesses, it's like kindness, small, big or small. And what he did was hit me to Tony Chachere's, which I'm addicted to, and so is my daughter. And he would bring it back from Louisiana to Brooklyn for me.
Yeah.
Before they start selling it, before I found it in Memphis. So he would bring me some back. And I remember that was just a small, kind act. And I remember that. So, he moves with humility and kindness all the time. So I remember those little things. But also, he personally called me today and was like, I want to make sure that I'm committed. And you would not believe the number of people who get brand new at it. You know what I mean? Even when they shouldn't be. They don't even have as much visibility as you do. And they get brand new. So he called to make sure that we were sure that he was on deck. And it's very thoughtful, and a lot of people don't do that. So y'all can take a page from his book.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Because I had to wean myself off of that shit. I was like, Tony's actually gonna give me a heart attack. It's gonna run my pressure all the way up. But I love it. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
And thank you very much for your time this evening. I appreciate it. And we'll be in touch, better. We'll be in better touch.
Far be it, do I have a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Far be it for me not to say this on a platform with three beautiful sisters. There's a lot going on in the world, and I think it's important for people to let you know that we support you all. We lift you up. We lift you up. And I know these verdicts and these things that's been happening the past week, it doesn't sit well, and it probably makes for some uncomfortable feelings right now. But I just want you to know that, we lift you up, and we see you as something very special, And we
thank you.
Thank you so much.
That
was beautiful.
Thank you. So, you guys, this has been 3BC Live. We're wrapping it up with Lodric Collins. D. Collins, don't forget the D, baby.
On the premiere live show.
The premiere live show.
The Mardi Gras version.
The Mardi Gras version. Yes, it's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
I love it. Next time I
you
come
don't
back,
need to know everything.
What?
Yes.
Yes, we will.
I'm not gonna show you nothing now, but
come through. So thank you again, Lodric. Thank you again, Chloe and Casey, the Alchemist. This has been 3BC Live, unfiltered, uncut, unmarginalized, empowered by the Kudzukian Network. Trois meufs noires, tres chicas mujeres, because we worldwide, baby. And we will see you next time. Mask up and stay tuned for our DJ, the runway DJ, Miss Crystal Mercedes, who's gonna give us a Pete Power set, because this ain't nothing but Pete Power over here, honey. So we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye y'all. It's been real.